Gentlemen, let me start by saying something uncomfortable. You can give her your time, your money, your energy, your heart, but that doesn't guarantee her loyalty. Why? Because women aren't loyal to what you do. They're loyal to how you make them feel. Let's break this down. You could buy her flowers every week, pay for her rent, take her on vacations, write her love letters, pour your heart into everything you do for her, thinking that if you just keep showing her how much you care, she'll stay, that she'll see your effort and reciprocate with loyalty. But over time, you begin to feel something shift. The more you give, the less she seems to respond. Her excitement fades, the energy changes, and it hits you. None of it mattered the way you thought it would. Because what most men never realize is that women are not emotionally wired to bond with deeds. They bond with how those deeds make them feel. It's not what you do, it's the emotional experience attached to it. A man can do 1,000 things for her, but if none of it stirs something inside her, she will drift, quietly, emotionally. Even if she stays physically present, she's checked out long ago. Her body might be next to you, but her mind is somewhere else. Her heart is already closing. You can't measure loyalty by counting favors. Women don't keep score that way. Loyalty is a state of emotional immersion. When she feels like you get her, when she feels safe in your presence but also intrigued by your mystery, when she feels chosen by a man who doesn't need her to survive but still wants her by his side. It's that emotional cocktail, a mix of safety, desire, challenge, and connection, that hooks her. And here's the problem. Most men operate under the illusion that grand gestures and constant support are enough. They're not. They become expected, routine, and eventually invisible. Think about it. Why do women leave good men who did everything right? Why do they stay with men who may not do nearly as much, but make them feel something deeper? Because feelings aren't logical. Emotions don't respond to logic. You could be the perfect man on paper, financially stable, generous, respectful. But if you don't spark an emotional fire in her soul, she will never truly be loyal to you. Not in the way that matters. Not in the way where she fights for you, craves you, and fears losing you. The emotional reality you place her in is what she attaches herself to. If she feels alive, feminine, and adored in your presence, she'll naturally want to stay in that emotional world. That's where her loyalty lives. But if all you do is provide without presence, give without groundedness, support without masculine polarity, you become background noise, useful but not essential, appreciated but not deeply desired. And that's the difference between a woman staying because she's comfortable and a woman staying because she's captivated. The man who understands this doesn't waste time trying to earn love through service. He invests in his own emotional awareness. He sharpens his presence. He leads. He creates an emotional atmosphere that she wants to breathe in. He knows that loyalty isn't something you demand. It's something you inspire. Not through obligation, but through emotional gravity. And that gravity isn't built in your actions. It's built in how your presence makes her feel, even when you do nothing at all. There's a massive difference between pleasing a woman and leading her, but most men don't see it until it's too late. We live in a world that constantly tells men to be nice, be agreeable, be available, do more, say yes, make her happy at all costs. And so men try to mold themselves into whatever they think a woman wants. They become overly accommodating, overly giving, constantly adjusting themselves to fit her moods and her expectations. It's all done with good intentions, because he thinks, if I just treat her right, if I give her everything she asks for, she'll stay, she'll love me more, she'll never leave. But it never works that way. In fact, the opposite happens. She pulls away, she loses respect. She begins to test more, withdraw more, and the man is left confused, asking himself, "What did I do wrong?" The truth is, women are not attracted to men who seek to please them. They're attracted to men who lead them. A leader doesn't try to fit in, he creates the path. He decides where he's going and invites her into his world. He's not swayed by her emotions or reactive to her every shift. He listens, yes, he considers her input, but he's not controlled by it, and that creates something in her that pleasing never can trust. When a woman senses that you have a strong internal compass, that your decisions aren't dependent on how she feels in the moment, she feels safe. Not safe in the boring, predictable way, but safe in the way that lets her surrender. That's what her feminine energy craves, to be able to let go and trust that the man she's with isn't going to fall apart or lose himself every time she challenges him. Pleasing behavior, on the other hand, erodes that trust. When a man constantly defers to her, when he walks on eggshells to avoid upsetting her, when he tries to make everything perfect so she never gets uncomfortable, he's not creating security, he's creating pressure. Now she has to lead. She has to make the decisions. She has to steer the emotional dynamic because the man won't. And even though she might say she wants more sensitivity, more accommodation, what she actually needs is direction. She may test you for control, but deep down she doesn't want it. She wants to feel your strength, not in how loud you speak or how dominant you act, but in your conviction, in your certainty, in your refusal to collapse into her storm. Pleasing also comes from a place of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. So the man overextends. He becomes hyper, vigilant about her reactions. He analyzes everything she says. He apologizes when he didn't even do anything wrong, all in the name of keeping the peace. But that's not peace, it's suppression. And over time, she senses that he's not being real, that he's performing for approval, that his actions aren't grounded in authenticity, but in insecurity, and that makes her feel emotionally burdened, not cherished. The weight of constantly being catered to actually makes her feel disconnected. Because deep down she knows this man is not acting from strength. He's acting from fear. Leading, however, is rooted in inner clarity. You know who you are. You know what you value. You're not shaken by temporary emotions or momentary chaos. You don't try to control her, but you also don't allow her to control the flow of the relationship. You set the tone. You create the environment, and in doing that, you give her something no amount of pleasing ever can, a reason to admire you. When a woman admires a man, when she respects his ability to lead both himself and the relationship, loyalty becomes a byproduct, not because he earned it by being overly nice, but because he inspired it by being unshakably himself. So many men ask, why wasn't I enough? I did everything for her. But that's exactly the problem. You did everything for her, but you did nothing from you. You followed instead of leading. You gave without standing. You accommodated instead of anchoring, and she felt it. She felt the absence of masculine energy, even if she couldn't explain it. You can't please your way into loyalty. You lead your way into it by being the man who doesn't need her to validate his worth, but still chooses her from a place of power, not weakness. That's what creates devotion. That's what women follow. Not the man who does everything she asks for, but the man who knows where he's going, with or without her. You can't buy loyalty. You can't earn it through a checklist of good deeds or by constantly proving yourself. Real, lasting loyalty from a woman comes from something deeper, something primal. It comes from presence, from the energy you bring into a room, from the way you carry yourself when nothing needs to be said. That's where masculine energy lives. It's not about how much you do for her. It's about how much weight your presence carries. A man who is truly rooted in his masculinity doesn't need to announce it. He doesn't need to impress her. He doesn't need to chase. His energy does the talking. Masculine energy is a stabilizing force. It's calm, it's still, it's focused. When a woman feels that kind of energy, it creates a sense of trust and emotional grounding that she can't find anywhere else. It's the difference between feeling like she has to hold everything together and finally being able to relax. And most women walk through life constantly in motion, emotionally, mentally, energetically. When she meets a man who doesn't get pulled into that chaos, who doesn't react to her every mood swing or emotional wave, it's almost like her nervous system breathes for the first time. That's when the walls come down. That's when the attachment starts to build. Masculine energy isn't aggressive or domineering. It's not about being loud or overly confident. It's about stillness. A man who can sit in silence and still radiate power. A man who knows what he wants and doesn't second-guess himself. A man who isn't easily influenced, who doesn't chase approval, who doesn't need constant validation. That kind of energy is rare, and women instinctively respond to rarity. It's biological, it's psychological, it's emotional. She might not even understand why she's drawn to him, but she feels it. She feels safe, desired, challenged, and free, all at once. That emotional cocktail becomes addictive. You can see it in subtle ways, the way he holds eye contact, the way he listens without rushing to speak, the way he pauses before he responds. That's presence, that's power. He's not rushing to fill silence because he's not uncomfortable with it. He's not constantly explaining himself because he doesn't feel the need to be understood by everyone. He moves with intent. He speaks with precision. He doesn't overshare or try to impress. And that creates a magnetic tension, a feeling that he's in control of himself, which in turn makes her feel more in control of herself. When a man is fully anchored in his masculinity, he naturally leads the emotional tone of the relationship. His energy sets the pace. Contrast that with a man who is constantly anxious, reactive, and uncertain. He overcompensates. He tries too hard. He talks too much. He asks too many questions. He tries to manage her emotions instead of owning his own. And even if he's doing everything right, on paper, the vibe is off. She doesn't feel held. She doesn't feel led. She doesn't feel like she can let go. Because his energy is scattered, so her energy becomes scattered. That's why it doesn't matter how good of a provider you are if your presence doesn't anchor her emotionally. She may appreciate what you do, but appreciation isn't loyalty. Loyalty is emotional attachment. And emotional attachment comes from presence. Masculine presence also creates polarity. That tension between masculine and feminine energy is what keeps relationships alive. It's what keeps desire burning. A woman can love a man deeply, but if there's no polarity, if she feels like she's more in her masculine than he is, it will kill the dynamic over time. She doesn't want to lead. She doesn't want to carry the emotional weight. She wants to feel your energy taking charge, not through control, but through certainty. And that certainty comes from knowing who you are and refusing to bend for temporary comfort. Women test for this constantly, whether they realize it or not. They test to see if your center holds, they test to feel your boundaries, they test to find the edges of your energy, and every time you stay grounded, every time you hold your frame without getting angry or defensive, her trust in you deepens. That trust becomes loyalty, not because you gave her everything she asked for, but because you gave her something she didn't even know she needed. A solid, unwavering masculine presence that she can relax into. This is why trying to manipulate loyalty through action alone will always fail. You can do 100 things, but if your energy isn't right, she'll feel it. She may not be able to explain it, but her instincts won't lie. And you'll find yourself in the most frustrating position a man can be in, doing everything right, and still losing her. Because she wasn't loyal to your actions, she was loyal to your presence, and when your presence weakened, her attraction and trust went with it. A woman doesn't consciously think to herself, "I'm loyal to his energy," but emotionally, that's exactly what happens. She feels a man who can emotionally contain her without trying to control her. She feels a man who's unshaken by the world around him. She feels a man who walks into a room and brings calm instead of chaos. And in that calm, she sees strength. In that strength, she sees safety. In that safety, she opens. That opening is where devotion begins. That's where true connection is built, not on what you do, but on who you are when you walk into the room and say nothing at all. A woman may enjoy your company. She may laugh at your jokes. She may even admire how hard you work and how loyal you are. But if she doesn't feel something when you're around, if there's no emotional charge, no tension, no sense of being captivated by your energy, then her connection to you is shallow, not because she's ungrateful or doesn't recognize your effort, but because emotional stimulation is what creates depth for her. For a man, consistency often feels like love. You show up, you provide, you support, you remain loyal, and in your mind, that should be enough. That asterisk is asterisk love. But for a woman, emotional asterisk experience asterisk is love. She needs to feel you, not just see you doing things. She needs to experience shifts, contrasts, moments of mystery, moments of intimacy, moments of conflict and repair. That emotional ride, when done with maturity and groundedness, is what bonds her to you. This is why a man can be everything she says she wants on paper, and yet she still feels something is missing. He's dependable, he's kind, he remembers birthdays and never raises his voice. But she doesn't feel magnetized to him. She doesn't feel pulled into his world. Because while he's doing everything asterisk for asterisk her, he's not doing anything asterisk to asterisk her emotionally. There's no spark, no challenge, no weight to his presence. And slowly, almost unconsciously, she begins to detach. At first, it's subtle, less excitement in her voice, less eye contact, more time on her phone. Then it becomes emotional distance, then sexual disinterest, and eventually she's gone, or worse, she stays physically, but her heart and mind are already elsewhere. Most men try to win loyalty through security. They think that the more they can provide, financially, emotionally, practically, the more a woman will stay, and yes, security matters, but it's not the only asterisk ingredient. Emotional depth is what binds her soul. She wants to feel alive with you. She wants to feel your energy not just when you're doing something nice for her, but in the quiet moments, when you look at her a certain way, when you take control of the room, when you speak with certainty, when you make her feel like the only woman in the world, just by how you touch her hand or say her name. Those are the moments she remembers. That's what she becomes loyal to. That's what makes her see you not just as a provider, but as a man she never wants to lose. Creating emotional depth doesn't mean being dramatic or overly intense. It means knowing how to lead the emotional tone of the relationship. It means being tuned in to the subtleties, her moods, her signals, the energy between you two. It means having the emotional intelligence to read the room, to know when to pull her close and when to give her space, when to challenge her and when to comfort her. It's the dance between strength and softness, between assertiveness and empathy. That balance keeps her emotionally engaged. That's what makes her feel like she's in something real, something alive, something worth fighting for. Most men lack this because they're too focused on tasks, not energy. They think, if I do this, then she'll feel that. But emotion doesn't work like that. It's not a formula. It's not transactional. Women are deeply emotional creatures, and they connect based on how you make them feel, not just what you give them. You could give her a ring, a house, and 1,000 compliments. But if those things aren't infused with real presence, with real emotional energy, they'll fall flat. They'll be appreciated, sure, but not felt asterisk. And what's not felt doesn't create loyalty. What's not felt can't touch the parts of her that truly decide whether she stays or not. Emotional depth also comes from how you handle tension. Can you sit in discomfort without becoming reactive? Can you allow her to express herself fully without trying to fix everything? Can you hold space for her without making it about you? That's what makes a woman feel emotionally safe, not just your protection from the outside world, but your ability to hold her inner world without judgment or fragility. When she senses that you won't fold under pressure, that you won't take things personally or fall into insecurity when things get real, that's when she gives you more of herself, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. And once she gives you that asterisk part of herself, she bonds. That's where the real connection lives. That's where loyalty is born, not out of fear, not out of obligation, but out of emotional intimacy that she doesn't want to lose. You can't fake this, you can't script it, you can't manipulate it. Emotional depth is something you develop by doing your own inner work, by being grounded in who you are, by becoming someone who is not afraid to feel, but also not ruled by feelings. It's a kind of inner strength that she recognizes immediately. And when she feels it, when she knows that you're capable of handling her storms without losing yourself, she relaxes into the relationship. She doesn't need to look elsewhere. She doesn't wonder if the grass is greener, because she knows, deep in her bones, that she's with a man who sees her, feels her, leads her, and holds her in ways most men never could. And that experience, once given, is not easily forgotten. The moment a woman senses that your identity is built around her, the clock starts ticking. Not because she's cruel or ungrateful, but because deep down she knows she cannot trust a man who doesn't have his own world, his own center, his own fire burning independently of her. A man who makes her the focal point of his existence may seem romantic at first. He's always available, always attentive, always willing to sacrifice. But over time, that constant availability becomes suffocating, not just for her, but for you as a man, because when your emotional stability depends on how she responds to you, when her mood dictates your day, when you rearrange your life just to make sure she stays, you're not loving her, you're clinging to her. You've handed over your power, and in doing so, you've lost the very thing that made you attractive in the first place. Women don't stay loyal to men who orbit them. They stay loyal to men who have gravity. A man with gravity doesn't chase, he pulls. He doesn't convince, he commands presence. He's not waiting around for her to validate him. He's busy building, creating, living with purpose. And that life, that mission, becomes the anchor she either wants to be a part of or watches drift away. That's the polarity. That's what creates the tension. When she knows that you're not sitting around hoping she picks you, but instead you've already picked yourself, and now she's the one who gets the privilege of entering your world. A man who makes a woman his purpose has already lost his sense of self. And women feel this intuitively. They may not articulate it clearly, but they sense when a man has collapsed his identity into the relationship. They feel the emotional pressure. They feel the unspoken expectations, the neediness, the constant reassurance seeking, the low-grade anxiety that bleeds into every conversation, and it wears on them. Because now she has to carry not only her own emotions, but his as well. She becomes the emotional regulator of the relationship, and nothing kills desire faster than that. She doesn't want to be your everything. She wants to be part of a life that's already full. That's when she can relax into her feminine. That's when admiration and respect begin to grow. When a man has a mission, a focus, a drive that exists outside of his relationship, he becomes centered. Not distracted, not emotionally unavailable, but centered. He brings a strength that doesn't require constant maintenance. He doesn't fall apart when she pulls away or has a bad day. He doesn't interpret every silence as rejection. He's too grounded in his own path to be shaken by momentary storms. And ironically, it's that very unshakability that draws her in. When she sees that he won't abandon his purpose just to appease her, she respects him. When she senses that he values her deeply but doesn't need her to complete him, she starts investing more, not less. This is why men who are constantly available, constantly agreeable, constantly prioritizing the woman above all else, often get left behind. Not because women don't want to be cherished, but because they don't want to own the man emotionally. When a woman feels like the man's world revolves around her, she eventually starts looking for someone whose world she can enter, not control. That's why you'll often see women chasing men who are busy, not in a manipulative game-playing way, but in a way that's genuine. Those men are immersed in their work, their vision, their growth, and she feels that. She feels the power of a man who's going somewhere, who's moving with intent, and she either keeps up or watches from a distance. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore her or treat her like an afterthought. It means you prioritize your center first, then bring her into your life from a place of abundance, not desperation. A man with purpose is selective. He doesn't fall in love with every beautiful woman. He doesn't hand out his energy freely. He knows the value of his time, his attention, his presence. And because of that, when he does give it, it means something. A woman feels honored to be chosen by a man who doesn't need her to feel whole. And that's what makes her loyal. That's what makes her stay. Not because she feels like his caretaker, but because she feels like a queen beside a king. Both whole, both strong, both walking their path together without codependency. A man who worships his mission is a man who commands respect. He doesn't place his entire emotional livelihood on whether a woman texts back or stays interested. He moves, he builds, he becomes the kind of man who others admire, not because he's perfect, but because he's focused. And that focus becomes magnetic. It's attractive in a way that words can't fully explain. It makes women curious. It makes them want to understand him, to be close to him, to earn his trust. And once that dynamic is in place, everything changes. The man is no longer chasing loyalty. He's attracting it, not because he begged for it, but because he embodied what inspires it. He became something larger than just a romantic option. He became a man who knows where he's going, with or without her, and that, more than anything, is what keeps her wanting to follow. You can give a woman everything, your time, your energy, your commitment, your resources. But if she does not feel emotionally connected to you, none of it matters. Loyalty is not built on generosity alone. It's built on how deeply you can reach her emotionally. And the truth is, many men try to substitute emotional connection with action. They think that if they just do more, give more, prove more, then eventually she'll see their value and stay. But that's not how women operate at their core. A woman stays where she feels seen, felt, and understood, not where she's simply accommodated. She may appreciate the things you do, but appreciation is not the same as attachment. Appreciation is polite. Attachment is primal. Emotional connection isn't logical. It doesn't make sense on paper. It doesn't come from a checklist of good deeds. It comes from how you make her feel . And that feeling is not created through constant validation or overexposure. It's created through depth, through moments where she feels like you understand her better than she understands herself, through silences that say more than words, through the way your energy makes her feel calm and wild at the same time. That duality, safety and excitement, peace and passion, is what creates emotional gravity, and once she's caught in that gravity, that's when loyalty starts to form. Not out of obligation, but out of desire. Most men never touch that layer because they're too focused on behavior. They analyze every word she says, every text she sends, every reaction she has. They adjust their actions to avoid conflict, to avoid distance, to avoid being seen as less than. But what they don't realize is that in doing so, they become predictable, emotionally flat. They don't create tension, they create comfort. And while comfort is good, it's not enough. Because a woman doesn't bond with what's safe alone. She bonds with what she feels . She needs to feel your edge. She needs to feel that you're not afraid to go deep, to confront her, to challenge her, to stand firm when she tests you. That emotional intensity, when grounded in control and presence, is what imprints on her. That's what lingers in her memory. That's what she keeps coming back for. Think about the people you remember most in your life. They aren't the ones who always said the right thing. They're the ones who moved you, who stirred something inside you that you couldn't explain. That's what emotional connection is. And that's what women crave. They want to be moved, not manipulated, not managed, but stirred at their core. And that requires a man who is not afraid of her emotions, a man who doesn't get flustered when she's chaotic, a man who can stand in front of her storm and not lose his center. Because when you can hold that space, when you can look her in the eye and say, "I see you, all of you, and I'm still here," that's when she lets her guard down. That's when loyalty becomes instinctual, not conditional. But you can't fake this. You can't rehearse emotional presence. You either have it or you don't. And the only way to have it is to have faced yourself, to have gone into your own depths, to have confronted your own wounds, your own darkness, your own insecurities. A man who hasn't done that will always panic when a woman brings emotional intensity into the space. He'll try to fix her, silence her, or run, and she'll know. She'll know he's not safe emotionally, not because he's a bad man, but because he hasn't done the inner work. And if she can't feel safe to express herself fully, she won't attach. She may stay for a while. She may even say she loves you. But deep down, she's still searching for a deeper emotional home. True emotional connection is spiritual. It's subtle, it's energetic, it's intuitive. It doesn't always look like deep conversations and heartfelt confessions. Sometimes it's in the pause before you speak, the way you look at her when she's not saying anything, the way you notice things others don't, the way your presence makes her body relax. These are the signs she's looking for, subtle signals that tell her, this man asterisk feels asterisk me. This man asterisk gets asterisk me. And when she finds that, everything changes. Her body opens, her mind softens, her heart begins to trust, because she knows she's found something rare, something real, and that's why so many men get blindsided. They do everything by the book, and still she walks away. Still she loses interest. Still she says she's not feeling it. And it hurts because you gave so much. You asterisk tried asterisk so hard. But trying isn't the same as connecting. And effort without emotional depth often comes across as performance. Women don't want a performance. They want presence. They want truth. They want to feel like they're engaging with a man's soul, not just his schedule. Emotional connection also demands risk. You can't connect deeply if you're always trying to be perfect. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, not in a weak, oversharing way, but in a grounded, courageous way. A man who can say, "This is who I am, flaws and all. I'm not here to impress. I'm here to be real," is a man who touches the feminine heart. Because that honesty, that rawness, that asterisk beingness asterisk, is what allows her to be herself too, and that mutual authenticity is the foundation of real loyalty. So if you want a woman to be truly loyal to you, ask yourself, do you asterisk move asterisk her? Do you reach her heart, not with grand gestures, but with emotional presence? Are you a man she can asterisk feel asterisk, even when you're not speaking? Are you someone she can open to without having to shrink herself? Because that's the measure, that's the level, and until you get there, all the gifts, dates, promises, and plans won't matter. They'll be appreciated, but not remembered. What's remembered is how you made her feel, deeply, undeniably, and emotionally. That is what she will stay loyal to. That is what she will never forget. So in the end, it's not about how much you do for her. It's about who you are when you're with her. Women aren't loyal to effort alone. They're loyal to the emotional truth they feel in your presence. You could give her the world, but if she doesn't feel your depth, your strength, your essence, she won't stay. But if she feels truly seen, deeply felt, and emotionally safe with you, then loyalty becomes natural. She won't have to be convinced. She'll choose you, not because of what you give, but because of who you are. And that is the kind of loyalty no amount of effort can ever buy,